And some interesting answers from our residents there, and a great lead into our continuing discussion with Bob Weber. Bob, you recently have been through a few medical challenges, and I'm sure you dealt and maybe still do deal with pessimism. And when you're facing obstacles like this, when people are watching out there, when they're facing these types of physical setbacks, what do they do? How do they get through that?
I think that is a time for great deepening of spirituality. I think my own experience has been that really over the last 2 years. In 2014, I shredded my rotator cuff. And I spent a year in rehab. I kept working, Fortunately, I was able to work. But, it was a long haul. Just after it happened, I was supposed to get a national award at the American Society on Aging. I couldn't go. Here was like one of those moments, I'm supposed to go get an award. I couldn't, and that was okay because I grew in ways that I wouldn't have had I gone to the conference. Then, more recently, October of last year, our book came out, The Spirituality of Age. We had a wonderful book launch in Harvard Square. And 2 weeks after that, I had done some exercising and I injured my hip. Well, I thought it was something else, a groin pull. I discovered that I'd had degenerative arthritis in my left hip. And it got worse. And before you knew it, the bones were rubbing up against bones. And the pain started to increase. I went and got checked. I did PT. I tried everything to kind of control it. And it did work to some extent. But I knew what was ahead was a total hip replacement based on the doctor's assessment. And in the middle of all that, I had another procedure I had to do because of prostate cancer. So I had to wait to get the hip repaired to take care of that first. And it was one thing after another. I felt like I was living in the storm at sea from Mark's Gospel, chapter 4. It's like a new wave. What it got me to do, Kevin, is slow down. I had to, in a sense, what I did was my life was no longer completely in my control. And I've been able to control my life. As people who are listening in, you've had to control your life. You get older, what happens? Control goes away. The fact is, you've never been totally in control of your life. That's when I started opening up to realizing that I'm held by something much bigger than that. I'm in God's embrace. Now, did I fully accept that? No. If I had my choice, would I have wanted to go through everything I went through to get to this point? Now the hip is repaired. I can walk around without a cane now pretty well after 4 weeks, 4th anniversary. 4 weeks ago, the hip was replaced. But I think what's happened is I have had to get closer to the reality of God's presence in the midst of my silence because I was homebound. I couldn't get out and walk around because of the pain. Yeah. And what it led me to was a much more profound sense of prayer without words. All of the old words weren't working anymore. And we all use rote memory in our old prayers growing up. Yeah. But there's a point where God maybe invites us beyond even our words and says, just listen to me. Don't clutter your head with your words. And I would go through moments of weeping, but weeping out of compassion. Because I think there are 3 illusions that got shattered by my experience. The illusion of immortality, the illusion of invulnerability, and the illusion of complete independence. Yeah. Each of those got knocked over like dominoes. But in their stead, something powerful happened. Instead of being radically independent, I discovered my dependence. And I'm much more grateful, aging gracefully and gratefully, much more of a sense of community. The care others provided, the food friends brought over, the calls. All of a sudden, I'm in a community. Invulnerability. I've been an athlete, pretty active, very healthy mostly. All of a sudden, I was vulnerable. What has that done? That has shredded away a sense of distance from people who are suffering. I thought I was a compassionate man before. Yeah. This experience has made me much more compassionate, closer to others. And I can actually weep you know, as I did when I heard about the bombings or the truck in Nice. I thought, I've walked that promenade many times. I know that area. And I ached for those people. What about immortality? No, I just hit the biblical 70 in June, 70. I'm there. Now what? Well, someday in the not too distant future, probably not 70 years into the future, but less than 70, I'm going to be dead. I'm going to die. And what has that given me? Both a profound sense of fear at times, but also in facing the fear, more of a sense of courage, an ability to relax. And in the relaxing, I have experienced great comforting. Kind of like maybe I really now understand what Jesus went through. Once he was arrested in Gethsemane, he was no longer the miracle worker out there. He was handed over. And I felt like I've been handed over. And maybe when we age, we all feel like we're handed over to something we'd rather not be handed over to. But maybe I would encourage people to look at what is there for them. What is there? What are the gifts? For me, community, compassion, comfort, and courage. Perfect? No. Still growing them? Yeah.
That's great. Well, thank you, Bob, for sharing with us. And we're glad to see that you're on the mend and you're getting better. And the Spirituality of Age, a Seeker's Guide to Growing Old. So we encourage you to pick this up too.
And if people want more information, they can go to a website Carol and I created called spiritualityofage.com, no spaces.
Find out more information there as well. Thank you so much, Bob, for being with us.
Kevin, thank you.